Hi guys, Aaron Wilson here at NRG Stadium, and the most interesting thing today wasn't the injury report. It wasn't watching the practice videos and watching Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel and Braxton Barrios and Xavier Hutchinson run routes, or really the locker room conversations. Those were interesting enough, but I'm focused on the conversation with Texans offensive coordinator Nick Caley, the embattled, oft-criticized rookie play caller for your Texans. So the defending AFC South champions looking like anything but a playoff contender at this point, this stage of the season. They're 2-4. The San Francisco 49ers, 5-2, so well coached by Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh. They're coming to town. So in talking with Nick Caley, a lot of this discussion was about what's ailing the offense and looking back at Seattle. And it began with a lot of questions about the urgency between plays, where they're burning some clock. Some of that can be on the communication between Caley and C.J. Stroud, getting the play in and getting to the huddle on time, trying to get the play out and get to the line of scrimmage. I don't really see that as the biggest issue, wasting some time. It's not good, it's not efficient, but I look at fundamental breakdowns. And I shared this video on my Twitter/X, and I asked Nick Caley about it. There's the play where there's a free blitzer. Ernest Jones, the linebacker, comes free, completely untouched, sacks C.J. Stroud, forced fumble. Their defensive player recovers it, but then fumbles it, and it goes out of the end zone for a touchback. And the Texans, they got a break there. It should have been a touchdown or possibly a safety. And you've got three offensive linemen, in this case, Juice Scruggs, Jake Andrews, and right guard Ed Ingram. They're all blocking the same nose tackle. It's a lot of attention on one player, and of course, it's a numbers game. You could do the math. It doesn't take a AP calculus degree. It really, you look at what they did there, and just so inefficient. And as Nick Caley acknowledged, that's not how you draw it up. That's not what they're trying to do. He called it poor execution, not tied together, and too much of that kind of thing. He says he takes accountability. It starts with him, and the team needs to be clear across the board. Not just that one play, lots of plays. He said it wasn't good enough. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. Need to refine, eliminate those types of errors to give themselves a chance to have the best chance to win. Across the board, run game, protections. It's bad. Okay, so they have some plays where they can change the play. I remember we were talking about the ownership that C.J. Stroud was going to have and how that came into play against the Titans and the audible that he saw that they should switch to and throwing it to Jaden Higgins and eliminating those mental errors. So there's balance, there's tools, in the words of Nick Caley. I agree, but they have to adhere to that. They have to do it more than once. Way too many mental errors and some things that we don't even know about where they bust the play. So, he was kind of pulling the curtain back a little bit to acknowledge that there are problems that, are not just manifested in the penalties or the low offensive ranking and, how things are looking in general. But we'll address several things here. I kind of feel like we need to talk about this offense. That's the number one topic. It's the number one thing holding the team back, right? So let's discuss it. Let's dig in here and give you what I've got. So the rotation, and it's not ideal, right? That means when you have two left guards, you don't have a left guard at all. You've got former Pro Bowl guard Laken Tomlinson, age 35, best years behind him, doing his best, but battling, and he was actually higher graded than Juice Scruggs. So he said it's not perfect, hasn't been perfect at either position, and this is Nick Caley's words, calling Tomlinson instinctive, savvy, very tough. Says Juice Scruggs has done a good job and it's continued to improve, and he says there's been moments. Is it perfect? No, and I'm told per sources, they don't think Scruggs, obviously, and this is a little bit obvious because of the way they've chosen to go forward, they don't think that he has won the job, and that's why after the Ravens game that he doesn't own the job. So after the bye week, after those 15 days, that hasn't happened. So he thinks the competition's healthy, and he thinks that alternating the guards versus allowing someone to get comfortable, he just doesn't feel like one guy has jumped out. Okay, well, that's their assessment. Obviously, they have a little bit of information. They know the players. They know how they see things, all of those things. So that's interesting. Nico Collins, who's not going to play in this game, tracking toward missing the game, of course, with the concussion. He's still in the protocol. Tomorrow is really last chance if he could practice tomorrow where they could potentially clear him. Doesn't sound like that's going to happen. I did see Christian Kirk today. I did hear that Collins and Kirk, per sources, that they could be back soon and that they could get Cade Stover and Jimmy Ward back designated for return in the next few weeks. Jalen Smith was upgraded to full participation. With the hamstring, he's designated for return. So he's close to being back to being the third corner. That's good. But going back to Nico, where's the motion? They don't do much of that. They move, they say they move him around. He doesn't only play the X receiver spot, but according to the metrics, it has happened less than 10 times. So from past concept standpoints, they think, according to Nick Caley, says that's not fair to just put it in one box, but he says they try to get him involved. I know they did. They threw it to him 10 times this past game, and he had, I think, like 4 catches for 27 yards. So, they're not utilizing him enough, and, he's got to catch the ball on that kind of herky-jerky play where I thought it was one of Stroud's best plays, where Stroud avoided pressure, eluded that, and then stepped up in the pocket and was throwing on the run and created a passing lane. But it's just, everything's too tough. High degree of difficulty. Things need to be easier, need to be simpler. Need to simplify the concepts, and they need to figure out what they can do well, and they've got to stick with it. So, in terms of the balance, this was, I don't really quite buy the logic, but I want to pass this on to what Nick said. You go back to training camp. Arian Ursary played some left tackle now, and of course, used to play on the right side. So he thinks that having guys do that, having them practice that way, creates flexibility. I mean, flexibility is great when there's an injury, but right now, they're not dealing with an injury on the offensive line. They're dealing with the offensive line not playing well. He acknowledged that they needed to run the ball better and to balance it out in hindsight. So he says, no excuse. He's got to be more disciplined. And his assessment, he wished he had ran more. What about picking up stunts? I mean, there's some pretty bad recognition or lack of recognition there, and they practiced it, they worked on it, they challenged the protection looks, they made progress, but the most disappointing part is it wasn't, they thought over the last couple weeks they made substantial progress, but it's different from the game. The stunts that you see, and as he said, not good enough, they got to keep working on it, got to be honest with ourselves, go to work. Okay. Arian Ursary, I know there have been some good stats, but if you watch the game, there were some whiffs. He had a tough game, pass protection. He called him conscientious. He says he has a lot of respect for him, cares a lot, but he acknowledged nobody can feel sorry for anybody. Yeah, it's disappointing, it's frustrating. They got to move on, and that's everybody, all coaches and players. So, in terms of getting the other teams to get out of this too high safety look, that's very difficult to do, to get the other team to break their tendencies and to what's working with, having, right now, a lot of post safety zone and split safety, but, you've got to try to find ways, as he said, to open things up, to attack the defense strategically. You talk about the schemes, look at the Ravens game, play action, as he went back, kind of looking back at his notes, and he's right. They were able to run a lot of play action because they rushed for 167 yards. When you run the football that way against a weak opponent, guess what? Everything works. The cool misdirection play that we credited him for to Jalen Noel. The way he's scheming up things to get Xavier Hutchinson a couple of touchdowns. Never happened before. He never scored before. So it's not like Nick Caley doesn't have some game. It's a lack of consistency from the entire offense. And you're starting to hear from the coaching staff talking about the players need to execute, that they're telling them the right thing to do and then they're not doing it post-snap. And you heard CJ Stroud talk about, well, pre-snap's more important. I don't think there's this great divide or some kind of controversy. They all want the same thing. They want to have a good offense, but they're not a good offense. They made too many changes, in my opinion, and many others' opinion. It's not, really, I'm not sort of mastering the obvious here. When you plug in this many guys, you have a whole new system, it's not going to look as good. And it hasn't looked very good. So that's among some of the issues that they're facing, and it's not like they have a ton of penalties or a ton of turnovers. It's just they have to play almost perfect football because they don't do a lot of deep shots. They don't have a lot of guys to do a lot of deep shots with. Someone that's showing a little bit of juice, obviously, with the 4 catches and the 77 yards is Jalen Noel and picking up the 4th down. So what's the answer? More Jalen Noel. Jaden Higgins, he's got to win some of these battles. He was 0 for 3 on targets against the Seahawks. So he's got to get some catches. He's your second-round pick. He's got to get involved. Xavier Hutchinson, playing pretty well, when they get him the ball, but you need even more of that. So you're facing an uphill fight other than with Dalton Schultz, 9 catches, 98 yards on 10 targets. He leads the team with 30 catches, 4 more than Nico Collins. You're getting production there. I talked to Woody Marks today, and I'm going to include the Woody Marks interview. I'll post that and attach it to this, so it'll be kind of at the end of this video. Hearing from Woody about the run game and about some of the things that he's trying to do to continue to grow as a player. Obviously, he's got talent. He caught that touchdown. He's doing some good things. I know many want to know, well, why is Dargo Moale playing? Well, there were some plays, and I watched, the All-22, some clips. He was good in pass pro. He can do that. So it was a, tough game. He had 31 combined yards on 15 carries for Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. So, that's not good enough. And, those are some of the thoughts kind of on the offense as a whole. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. I've been seeing some of them. I don't think the answer is firing Caley, certainly not during the season, changing play callers. I think it would get worse, possibly. Your options in staff are Bill Lazor, who did interview for the job and has been an offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins, Cincinnati Bengals, and the Miami Dolphins. And then, Chicago Bears, as well as the Bengals and Dolphins. And then you have Gerard Johnson, hasn't been a play caller, but he's worked with C.J. Stroud extensively ever since the Elite 11, known him since high school. Maybe that mesh would help, but obviously they've had chances to promote Gerard, and they haven't done it. He's interviewed for other teams' offensive coordinator spots. He's had more than a handful of interviews in the past couple of years and hasn't been a finalist yet or landed a job. So, they have, in my opinion, a choice here. You got to commit to sticking with Caley and letting Caley grow into the job. And maybe some of Caley's stuff would work better if you have the personnel. It's hard to know that, but that's my belief, that they have to continue to invest in the offense. They need more weapons. They need a offensive line that probably needs a couple more starters. I don't think you can fix this with trades. I think all you're doing is, throwing something out there for more assets. You're going to get a starting caliber blocking tight end back in Cade Stover at some point. Not by Halloween, but maybe early November. I think a good chance for him to play some meaningful football in the second half of the season. He'll help them some and certainly help the running game and other areas. And he's a competent pass receiving tight end too. He's a combo tight end, I should call him. Okay. Overall, kind of looking at, where things stand. They're not the favorites. They're not expected to win, but maybe they can. Maybe they can pull something off. Maybe that's within their grasp. The 49ers, and I'm looking at the injury report that was filed shortly before I started this video. As you guys know, Nico Collins did not practice. Christian Kirk did not practice. Limited. Denico Autry, Derek Barnett, Brendan Bates, Dalton Schultz, Jalen Smith, full participation, Elijah Huzzie. So that's good. Actually, I'm looking at, at Thursday's report. So Brendan Bates, Elijah Huzzie, and Jalen Smith are all full participation. But for the 49ers, Jake Brendel, their center, did not practice. Linebacker Lou Gifford did not practice. Yetur Gross-Matos, no practice. Bryce Huff, their leading pass rusher with 4 sacks, did not practice. Diomedor Lenore, one of their better defensive backs, didn't practice dealing with the quadriceps. And then Ricky Pearsall, one of their better receivers, has a knee injury and he didn't practice. So none of that good. And they have a ton of other injuries where guys are on the injury report. There's 1, 2, 3. 17 guys on their injury report. That's a lot. So you think about the 49ers going to be banged up. Regardless, guess who's not banged up? Christian McCaffrey. And we'll get more into that. I want to discuss the McCaffrey factor more in my Friday video, but I kind of wanted to really hone in on this offense. And the ultimate answer is there is no easy answer. There's no easy way out. Nothing worth having is easy, right? They got to earn it. They got a good enough quarterback, in my opinion. They have a decent running back tandem. There's some upside there with Marks. I think there's more meat on the bone that they can get with Marks, with being creative about how he touches the ball. I was talking with Marks about Christian McCaffrey. That's one of his guys he tries to emulate. And great role model, obviously. Look at all the touches and all the creative things the 49ers do with Christian McCaffrey. And Jahar Jordan's been imitating him in practice this week as the practice squad running back and giving the look team, basically called the scout team, to help the defense. So the paths to a victory, we'll get more into that in a full preview, but you guys know what they have to do. They got to shut down McCaffrey. They got to hit Mac Jones. They got to not turn the football over. They got to make some bigger plays. They got to be able to move the football without Nico Collins and without Christian Kirk. And that means they need a big game from Dalton Schultz, and they need some contributions from Higgins and Noel and Hutchinson, maybe Berrios. And you guys probably saw my video of the receiving drills, and I have some other ones I'm going to post as well, kind of package all together. So this will be a nice long video in addition to my comments and takes on things and giving you guys some information about what Nick Caley had to say and my interpretations of it. But beyond that, even more so, what do the players think? So we'll hear from the guys from the locker room as well. So guys, and guys, that's my takes for the day, and we're going to bring you more and more coverage. Please watch, like, and subscribe. We are close to 18,500, so we're making some progress. Can't wait to be at 19,000, then 20,000. Wanted to be at 20,000 by Halloween. I'm not trending toward that right yet, but who knows? Maybe we can get there. And I've been getting some interest from sponsors and, like I said, any serious businesses that want to connect with my channel, which is the fastest growing channel in Houston that's focused on the Texans. Yeah, please contact me. I am available, awilsonsport56@gmail.com, or I can be direct messaged. So yeah, obviously, serious inquiries only. Thank you. And I'm on Twitter and X at @AaronWilson_NFL, on television at KPRC2, and www.click2houston.com, our website, which has no subscription. You guys can read anything I'm writing free of charge. And I'm on Instagram, AaronWilson7128. And let's hear from you guys, kind of some thoughts on what you think could fix the offense. Please drop it below in the comments. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks, bye. The running game, Nick Caley was just talking about how he wished he'd been able to run the ball more. There were some difficulties presented, obviously, by the Seahawks front. What were some of the challenges of trying to run the ball more and run the ball with more yardage?
Just execution. Just know you got to go, just getting the job done, to be honest. That was really it, just execute.
The opportunities against the 49ers, what do you see from their front? Robert Saleh, everybody talks about him as one of the top defensive minds. They don't have Fred Warner, they don't have Nick Bosa, but it seems like they continue to roll.
They playing the game. Next got up, and they playing very hard. Just watching them, I watched a lot of Tampa Bay game. They was playing very hard. Just getting after it. They gonna fight to the end, no matter what. And it came down. Not getting Tampa Bay out there only had like 54 plays in that game. So you got just got to take care of the chances you get with that team.
You mentioned Christian McCaffrey. Is that a back that you've liked and patterned yourself after a little bit? Obviously, you have your own style, but what do you like about the McCaffrey game?
He can come out the backfield. You never know what he's finna do when he in the backfield. Kind of not keeping the defense honest. Just a guy who can run in between tackles outside the tackle and catch the ball at the backfield. Problem for the linebackers.
Has Jahar mostly been the McCaffrey this week for the defense?
Mm-hmm.
He's fast. Yeah,
for
he
sure.
gives a
No
look.
doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. When you think about the challenges,
Player by player, locking in. No matter what's going on around you, just focusing on what you got to do for your job, and then everything else will take care of for itself. Try not to be somebody else and do somebody else's job. Just focusing on what you got to do, and just trust that the guy next to you gonna do his job too. And when you take care of that, everything else should be straight.
Knowing that D'Amico came from a little bit of the system that Robert Sala, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, kind of raised those guys all into knowing. Does it help you guys in any way, knowing that the defense that you guys see on a day-to-day basis kind of comes from that same family tree that you're going to see this Sunday?
Yeah, just know what they want to do on defense. We kind of went over it a little bit today. Just knowing that we got certain plays that we can run on our defense and that we can be able to run on their defense. So it helps out a lot. I'll say for me, I can go back and watch training camp, watch a little bit of our defense and how my tempo was going through certain run plays, certain pass plays, certain blitzes. They kind of give it a little bit like our defense, but some of it a little different. But just doing that, kind of bringing the safety a little bit too. So,
what do you? Everybody has stress and frustrations in their job, whatever you might do for a living. As an NFL player, what do you do specifically to kind of relax and de-stress if things aren't going the way you hope for at work?
I'll take a deep breath during the game. Take a deep breath. I think our room pretty tight. We all lean on each other, getting it good and bad. I'll say our coach really the ringleader of it. I know I can lean on DB if I have to.
So cleansing deep breath, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds like yoga.
Yeah, no doubt.
When it came to this past weekend on Saturday and seeing the
probably Saturday, Pop told me like, hey, we're gonna rotate again and Lake's gonna start, and I'm ready for whatever. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do, and I just gotta be ready when my number's called.
Is it difficult to go in and out after doing what you did for the 2 weeks before?
I wouldn't say difficult. It's just, when you get in there, just do what you got to do. I got 100% belief in Blank. When he goes in, he's going to do what he has to do. So whoever turn it is to go in, we just got to go in and ball out and help the team win.
Juice
So you guys don't rotate in practice?
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Juice, there was a sequence where there's 3 of you guys in the interior blocking the nose tackle, and then 13 comes free. When you guys reviewed it, what were some of the takeaways from you as players and from what Coach Popovich told you?
Yeah, we just got to be on the mic points. That's everybody on the O-line, and that's something we're going to take a step this week, and we got to. If we want to be the team we know we can be, we got to take that step.
The 49ers, they lost Bosa, they lost Warner. Does the ball kind of keep rolling? Are you seeing kind of the same defense, basically?
Yeah, definitely. Next man up. That's around the league. Injuries happen as part of the game, so we're not taking them any more lightly just because their star players ain't playing. The next man up is going to play just as hard, if not harder. He has something to prove.
They haven't been a heavy blitz team throughout the year, but it looks like against the Falcons they were able to employ some of those simulated pressures, blitzes at the right time. Just what are some of the challenges when they kind of have a coordinator who can dial those things up in a timely manner?
It's definitely challenging, but if we're on our stuff as an offense, it'll take care of itself. And you gotta be ready for whatever. It's the NFL, so we're ready for them to blitz. If they don't blitz, cool, but we gotta be ready for sure.